I'm Brian Boak, and welcome to BOAKS Beer Brewing at New Jersey Beer Company. Today, we're at New Jersey Beer Company brewing a batch of BOAKS Abbey Brown. We start with our Pilsen malt. That's our lightest malt. That's our base malt. We've got our Belgian aromatic malt, and then we have our chocolate malt. Okay, so what we're doing is we've got 11 bags of our Pilsen malt that we're milling now. And when it comes out, it'll look like that. You see the bags, fossil-free malting made with renewable energy. So basically we're saving the planet at the same time of making beer. What a good thing. One other specialty ingredient that we're going to use is what's called Belgian candy sugar. Everybody used to always think of it as rock candy. We're going to be using a 10-barrel brew house. And technically a 3-vessel brew house. We have a hot liquor tank here. And basically there's no liquor in there. That's just kind of like a big oversized hot water heater. Directly above that we have what's called our mash tun. And this is where we actually do the boiling process. So now what we're doing is we've got to add all our grain into our mash tun. With that along goes a lot of hot water. And that allows us to get all our good flavors, proteins, enzymes, and sugars out of the grain that we've milled before. And that's going to hydrate it, and that's going to sit for about an hour to an hour and a half. Then we will start the next stage of the brewing process. So stand by and have a beer. So now what we're doing is the grain is in our mash tun, and we are slowly draining the liquid out. And as the liquid drains through the grain bed, what it's going to do is it's going to strip all the colors, proteins, enzymes, and sugars out of that grain that we mashed, and we're going to get our wort that we need to make our beer. So what we've been doing now is we're checking the gravity on the runnings. And the reason we do that is we want to find out when to stop extracting wort from the grain.
This thing's called a hygrometer, and it shows us basically how many solids are in the liquid, our overall gravity in degrees Plato.
The gravity is the measure of sugar in beer. You do a calculation between the original gravity and the final gravity, and that allows you to calculate how much alcohol is actually in the beer. So we test the runnings on what the gravity is, and we also test the wort that's in the boil kettle to see what that gravity is, because we need to get a good balance. And then we'll have all our wort that we're going to boil for this batch of beer, which is a little over 300 gallons of beer. Okay, so what we've done is we've taken our grain, we've run it through our mill to crack it open. We've put that grain into our mash tun with warm water, about 155 degrees, 158 degrees, to let it soak for about an hour or so we can extract all those good sugars, proteins, enzymes, and colors out of it. And then over the period of the last hour to an hour and a half, we have slowly drained that water out and added more water in there to filter through and transfer all that liquid, which is now wort, over to our boil kettle. We are just about at a boil. I see we're at 98 degrees Celsius, so we got to get 2 more degrees up there, and we'll be at a full boil, and then we can add our first hop additions in. Those are pelletized hops, and the reason why they're pelletized is they have a longer shelf life that way.
So frothy boil, and go to hops. That was 1 pound of Columbus, which is a bittering hop. Now we just wait. So
So we're going to put our second hop addition in. So now we've got 2 out of our 4 hop additions in, and we will let that continue to boil away. So we've got another 20 minutes till our next hop addition at 10 minutes left in the boil. Okay, what we're going to do is now we're going to add our Belgian candy sugar. Like when you were a little kid and you used to get that little Belgian candy sugar on a stick or on a little string, that's what we're using. So what we did is we just took our mixture of Belgian candy sugar and some warm water that we've dissolved it in, and we poured it into our wort to give us our last ingredient in this process, except for the 2 last hop additions that we're going to put in. This way it builds a little bit of a caramely flavor into our beer, brings the alcohol up a little bit more without bringing the body up, so it's still a nice, easy to drink 7% alcohol beer.
Last hop addition.
So what we're going to do right now is we're going to start the whirlpool, and what that's going to do is that's going to circulate the wort around, which is going to do a couple of different things. One, it's going to make sure it's nice and evenly mixed all around, but 2, we want to whirlpool it around so that all of the particulate matter kind of settles into the center and settles down. And that way we can get a nice clean runoff into our fermenters.
Come out the side of the kettle. We're going to go through our pump, through our heat exchanger, out the heat exchanger, into the tanks. We're trying to keep as much of the solids in the kettle and as much of the beer going into the tank as possible. Because it'll go from clear to beer. You can already see some particulates coming through. There we go.
Here we go.
That's some grime. I don't want that going in there. That's what I want.
That's beer.
So close this.
And in the fermenter we go with a full batch of wort. So now we're going to add our yeast. So this is our yeast that we're going to add in. Get all that good yeast out. So we now technically have beer in the fermenter because we have our wort and we've added our yeast. So now technically we have beer. You can't drink it, but in about 3 weeks we will have a lot of beer. About 600 gallons of beer. So what we're going to do is when we keg the beer, half the kegs are going to be regular Abbey Brown. Half the kegs are going to have Jack Daniel's barrels and Madagascar vanilla beans in them, which will make us wooden beanie. Right in here is called the spire. Basically, it's kind of like a big dip tube. So we have a way to take this out, and what we will do is we will actually put pieces of the Jack Daniel's barrels in the keg with vanilla beans in basically a Muslim bag, and we will just age it for between 2 weeks and a month in there, and then send the kegs out to market. So they will actually continue to be added to flavor as long as the beer sits in the keg. It'll be half Abbey Brown and half wooden beanie, which will be the most wooden beanie that's been out in one shot ever. So everybody will get to enjoy more wooden beanie, which everybody's been clamoring for. So I'm trying my best to get as much out as possible.